Good morning. So, a big problem a lot of people still seem to be having is not being able to sustain your waystones, especially in the start of the end game when you're first starting off, going into mapping and going through the first tiers. But in the past few days, I've definitely noticed by chat in the global chat, for example, that a lot of people higher than tier 10 and also in tier 14 and tier 15 are not really able to sustain their waystones, and it's starting to get to the point that people are selling waystones. And I didn't really encounter this problem, so I just wanted to share a few quick tips for you to maybe sustain your waystones a little bit better. So you can pretty much see this is all the waystones I have that are below 14 or 14 and below. And these are pretty much my 15 ones with a few in between I just put there. So I didn't really have the problem of sustaining your waystones. So the first tip is pretty obvious, and it might be a little bit stupid to say, but it's just don't die. Especially in the beginning, it might be a little bit rough. Your character isn't there yet, and you're pretty much one shot. There are multiple on-death effects that sometimes you will die. It doesn't really matter. But the first tip in sustaining your waystones better is always don't die. So in Path of Exile 2, it's a little bit different to Path of Exile 1. You only have one try, so it's really important. Cap your reses, make sure your defenses are in check, make sure you don't die every map, because this is the first and most obvious way where you will not be able to sustain all of your waystones. So that is tip number one. Tip number two is your Atlas tree. So if you go into my Atlas tree, it is a little bit different now than what was the first time I started going into the end game. But if you are struggling to sustain your waystones, especially in the early stages of endgame, spec into these nodes right here. Increased quantity of waystones, increased quantity of items helps as well, but mainly increase quantity of waystones. Here we have the high road. Waystones you find have 20% to be a chance higher. Oh my god, I gobbled that sentence up. Yes, you get what I mean. And also increased quantity of precursor tablets, but mine looks a little bit different now. But please spec into these nodes if you are struggling to sustain your waystones. That is tip number two. Tip number three is precursor tablets. You have multiple different precursor tablets. You can find them all over. So as I told you before, we can spec into the Atlas tree as well to find more precursor tablets. I have seen some people who are also struggling to find precursor tablets. So yeah, just spec into it if you are struggling with it. So tip number three is precursor tablets. These ones, for example, increased rarity of items found in your map, but also increased quantity of waystones found in your map. Very, very important if you are struggling. And also remember, these waystones stack. So if you get one tower with one and another tower with another one, these stack. So every map in the vicinity here will get all of the bonuses. So if you go with increased waystones and increased waystones, it's gonna double for all the maps in the vicinity. This is tip number three. Use the precursor tablets to further increase your chance of dropping waystones. The next tip is very, very important as well. And I've already made another video on it. I will probably link it in the description. Always juice your maps from the start on. Never run white maps, never run blue maps. Run yellow maps with good stats. Of course, if you're already struggling to sustain your waystones, you cannot be a chooser rather than a picker. So please always choose your maps. I've told people in the other video, from the start, I've pretty much always been like this. I go into my currency tab. I have a white waystone here. I either go Alk, boom, already juiced, or I don't know, let's go for another one, second one. We have this one here. We won't run it like this. We will do it like this, and we do it like this. And yeah, this is pretty much the minimum effort. In the other video, I already explained some more stuff you can do with the delirium emotions, or with the what is their name, with the omens, so you can further juice your maps to increase your Waystone sustainability as well. So the next tip is, when you have a map with a boss, make sure you kill the boss. Make sure, especially on this map, you don't die. You can see here what I told before. This one already has increased Waystones found in area from all the towers. It has a bunch of different prefixes as well. So these bosses will always drop at least 2 Waystones. I have seen more, but it's always gonna be 2 Waystones. Make sure you kill the bosses. Make sure you make it to the boss. And make sure when you run the map, maybe you can get even some extra. This is the second to last tip. And the last tip is, if you are struggling, I know some people go for speedrunning every map and just going from rare pack to rare pack. This is what I'm doing basically, because I don't need to kill a lot of trash mobs. But if you are struggling to sustain Waystones, finish your maps. Do everything on the map. You might get a few more Waystones. You might get 2 or 3 more Waystones, and it might get you going a little bit more. So that is pretty much it. This video was a little bit longer than I expected. I always try to be very, very quick to the point and don't blabber too much. So if you like this style of video, yeah, come back maybe. Thank you so much. And I hope this will help you to sustain some Waystones. Thank you. Bye-bye.